Welcome viewers. I am Dr. Ashish Agrawal and today my topic of presentation is inventory management. Whenever we talk about inventory management, it seems it is a very significant and very important term. But in our daily life, we always use inventory knowingly or unknowingly. We are always in touch with inventory, the term which I am going to use in my present session. Whenever you talk about the household items or wife, she always used to keep the inventory of many items so that I or we should get the food or breakfast at right time and at right quantity. And that is the basic concept of the inventory management. Whenever you or I visit any retail house, 99% chances we always use to get the product for which we are visiting a retail store. Now, why we are getting the things? The simple thing is that the retail person is keeping an inventory because he knows or she knows the demand which is going to occur in future. In today's topic, we are going to take you to the inventory, how the inventory is managed, or first of all, what is inventory, how you will define the inventory. This my topic is suitable for the management student, for engineering student, and a common man who is working in a retail shop or in a automobile company or in a fast moving consumer goods company, anywhere, any person who is directly or indirectly involved in the flow of material from one place to another place is concerned with the inventory management. Since we are also at IGNOU, we are also going to have the PG certificate in inventory management and warehousing system. So this topic is also a very important or crucial for the prospective students who are going to be enrolled in this program. So in all, if you say that this topic is going to be very interesting, our discussion is going to be very interesting. So in today's lecture, what we are going to touch, what is inventory, how inventory is defined, what are the different types of inventory, how the inventories are classified, ABC analysis. ABC analysis, a very simple technique to analyze the inventory in the warehouse or in the store. Second, what are the different costs which are involved? In today's session, we are not going to cover a large number of costs, but whatever is fundamental costs are involved, we are going to introduce you so that you should not feel uncomfortable when we talk about inventory models. Then economic order quantity model. Now when we have an inventory, we want to optimize it so that it should not be more, it should not be less, it should be optimum so that we should not face any stock out condition. Now what is stock out condition? Stock out condition is that condition when we do not have inventory of any item in our store. Then what are the reorder point? The points where we are going to order the things when our inventory falls up below a certain level or decided level. Now, what is the periodic inventory system? How we will define the periodic inventory system? So first we will say that what is inventory? If we define inventory, it is a stock of items kept to meet the future demand. Now, what does it mean? That we are keeping a inventory, a quantity of certain items in our warehouse or in a store because we know that these items are going to consumed in near future. I will take simple example, just vegetable in house. We know that within 2-3 days we are going to consume it. That is why we keep the inventory. Now same thing is with the retail. Any retail store will keep more than 2 dozen or 3 dozen of bathing soap of different variety, because he or she knows that the customer will come and customer will demand for certain variety of bath soap, and if bath soap is not there, he will return or he will go to or visit another shop. So he is going to lose a very important customer. Similarly, if I take the example of a automobile company, there are so many items, means 30,000, 40,000 items are there. Now it is very important that how to manage the inventory, because inventory, we have to keep the inventory, because inventories are kept not only for meeting the future demand, but it is also purpose of the inventory management is how much you need to order and when to order. These are the two important things in the inventory management. First is how many units you are going to order and when to order. When to order means you can't order the items when you have surplus of inventory at your store. Definitely, you will order the inventory when the level of inventory falls below a certain or pre-decided item for pre-decided level. So that is why these two things are very important, and that is the purpose of any inventory management tool, that how much quantity is to be ordered and when to be ordered. Now, what are the different types of inventory? Once we know the importance of inventory, we knows what is inventory, we know what are the different purpose of inventory. It is also essential to know the what are the different types of inventory. Just for example, you can say the raw material. Any item which is going to be processed, that will come in the form of raw material. So the first and the most important part of inventory is the raw material. Now the second part is purchased parts or supplies. What are the purchased part? We need certain cooling item, we need certain lubrication, we need certain other tools. So all these comes under the purchase item. Then work in process, that is partially completed products work in process. Because in any industry, in any company, if you have the raw material, if you have the finished product, then definitely we also have certain inventory of those items which needs to be processed further. Now, why we keep the work in process inventory? Because there is a point, suppose there is a point A, there is a point B, there is a point C. Now, A needs a processing, B needs a processing, C needs a processing. Now, just take an example that suppose the machinery or the work center at the B point gets into the breakdown condition. Now, what will happen? The items after processing at work center A will not reach to the work center C. So the total line of the production will get affected. So we keep certain items of B, certain items of A, certain item of C. C is a finished good, definitely we keep, but A and B, for that we keep the work in process inventory, and that plays a very vital role in inventory management. Now another item is the finished item which needs to be transported. Just like I have given you example of car is the ultimate product of any four-wheeler company, so that needs to be transported. So it is not like that we are producing and it is transporting. Definitely there are two terms which are used. One is less than truckload, we called LTL, and FTL, full truckload. So definitely when the full truckload is there, then only the items will be transported from manufacturing company to the dealer or dealer's warehouse. That is why this type of inventory is also very important, that is called the finished good item inventory, or item which needs to be transported. Now tools and equipment another play a very important role, which is another type of inventory. And beside all these things, human resource, nowadays every worker, skilled worker, is brought in the company with the help of the contractor. Now we have to keep the inventory of those human resource or the skilled manpower, because that is the requirement of the today's globalization world. Because if we do not have the excess inventory of those manpower, we cannot meet the customer demand. And you know that customer demand is changing day by day, customer expectation is changing day by day, product life cycle is reducing. So we need the updation in the technology, we need the skilled worker, so that we can meet the customer demand in a timely manner. Now the question comes, why we hold the inventory? What is the purpose of holding the inventory? The most important thing, that there is unexpected change in the customer demand. There are so many examples. We will also discuss in our coming slides that how the customer demand varies when we move from retailer to dealer to manufacturer and to the supplier. Now there are two things. First is short cycle. Another thing, presence of other competitive product. These are the two things, for that we need the inventory. I will tell you one very good example of short life cycle. The Dell is the company who used to make the PC or the personal computer and the laptop. Now they can hold the inventory of their chips in a large quantity, but the manufacturer knows the chip has a very short life cycle. So the Dell company, what they do, they never keep the inventory in a large quantity for chips. So whenever there is any change or any upgradation in the chips, so Dell company is far ahead of their competitor in bringing the new product with new chips, because they don't have the inventory. So if they have only 100 items or 200 items, they need 100 items to be put in the market. And that is why the Dell company is became the market leader in the personal computer. Another important thing, there is an uncertainty in supply and demand. Now it is very important, because if you predict the customer demand, then your supply cannot be predicted. If you make certain your supply, then demand cannot be predicted. There are chances, whatever the forecasting technique you will use, there is a chances in the error in the forecasting demand. Similarly, there are cases when there is a natural disaster, when there is a man-made disaster, and the supply disrupted. There are some examples of earthquake, there are some example of train accident, because of which the supply gets affected. And if the supply gets affected, we need the inventory at our warehouse, so that we can meet the demand in our timely manner. Now the next portion is the delivery time capacity limitation. These are the two important things that we hold the inventory. Now suppose there is a one item for which the supplier for Maruti is at Bangalore. Now it takes 5 to 7 days from transportation from Bangalore to Delhi. Now that is the delivery lead time. Now for this 5 to 7 days, we need the item which are to be used in making the four-wheeler. Now same thing is with the capacity limitation. We cannot go beyond a certain capacity. We need the item. So that is why these two, delivery lead time and capacity limitation, these are the two important factors for holding the inventory at our warehouse. It is the economies of scale. Now you will appreciate that if we purchase a item in bulk, there are always chances to get the discount, and that is called the economies of the scale. And everybody, whether we are at the domestic level, whether we are at the industrial level, we always want to save the hard earned money. So that is why if we, instead of 5 items, if we purchase 500 items, then definitely we will get the discount. Now there are another issues of just in time inventory, but it is a different issue. But for certain items we need to keep the inventory at warehouse to achieve or to gain the economies of scale at our industrial or at the manufacturing level. Now there are two terms, inventory and the supply chain management. Whenever we talk about inventory, it always covers the four players in the supply chain, that is supplier, manufacturer, dealer, and retailer. Now, just see that the first and the most important term which comes in the supply chain in managing the inventory is the bullwhip effect. Now, what is bullwhip effect? It is a simple, the demand information is distorted as it moves away from the end user. Higher the safety stock inventories to compensate this type of variation in the demand. Another reason, seasonal and cyclic demand, which sometimes increases, sometimes lowers. It free the manufacturing company from the vendor. Take advantage of price discount. If price discount is available at certain period of time, we keep the inventory at our warehouse so that we can get the discount on that particular type of inventory. Similarly, we need a decoupling point. Decoupling point means there are three stages A, B, C. We want that all the three stages should be independent. The inventory provides independence between the stages and avoid work stop pages. Now, this will give you a exact picture of what is the bullwhip effect. Now, you just see at that retailer end, this is the customer demand, and if you appreciate this thing, that it is not varying too much. Now, if you just see whatever the retailer is ordering to the dealer, and you just see the variation in the demand. And if it reaches to the dealer or the distributor, the variation is much more at higher position. And when it reaches to the production plan, you just see there is a huge variation in the production plan. Now, what manager gets? This is the customer demand, and we are getting this shape of the demand. Now, you just imagine that the customer demand is fixed. It is not varying too much, while the production plan is based on a certain curve which is a very high peak and very low trough. So that is the bullwhip effect. Now what management wants? Management wants, if the customer demand is this one, production plan should also match with the customer demand. Now what is happening? Why it is so? Why there is a variation in the demand when it reaches to the manufacturer or as a production plan? Because there are different players in this inventory management. First is retailer, second is distributor, manufacturer, and the supplier or the supplier. Now at the retailer end, who is experiencing the real customer demand will always try to keep a safety stock, because he has to consider the lead time, and then he will enhance the value of the item to be ordered to the distributor. Now what will distributor do? Distributor will again simply take his or her own safety stock and enhance the level of value to be ordered to the manufacturer. The same thing will do will be carried out by the manufacturer, because manufacturer will also keep a safety stock for giving order to the supplier. So all these players are relying on the information passed by one player to the another player. Now in this case, if the point of sale data is shared, same point of sale data is shared between all players, then everybody will maintain the safety stock at the same level. So there will not be variation. Remember, we cannot finish or we cannot eliminate the bullwhip effect. We can minimize the bullwhip effect by sharing the point of sale data at each player. Then only the bullwhip effect can be minimized. Uh, Retailer forecast is independent. Similarly, wholesaler or the distributor will rely on the retailer demand and will keep the safety stock higher than the retailer. Similarly, when we goes to the manufacturer will again keep the safety stock higher than the distributor. Supplier again will keep the higher stock than the manufacturer. Therefore, what is happening? There is a variability in the order placed by each player. The variability increases when you are moving from upstream to downstream in the supply chain. Now, if we define in real sense the bullwhip effect, it is the uncertainty caused due to the distorted distorted information flowing up and down the supply chain. Now the question comes, who is affected from this bullwhip effect? Nearly all the industries, all the companies are get affected. Firms that are really experiencing the large variation, they are at risk. The firms that depend on the supplier in the upstream and retailer on the downstream, they also get affected. Now the question is, what are the result of the bullwhip effect? Excess inventory, because there is a demand distortion, so there is a always chance of excess inventory. Problem with the quality, when you are compromising with the quantity, definitely the quality will get affected because you are unnecessarily producing the higher quantity it is not required. Increase the raw material cost, because you are holding the inventory of raw material unnecessary. Overtime expenses, because you are producing the items by giving overtime, you are producing the items by engaging more human resources, so there is a overtime expenses. Increase shipping cost, because whatever you are producing, that is either will lie on your warehouse or it will be on the shipping stores or the transportation, so all these will lose customer service. Lengthen lead time. Now if we are not relying on the real time data, there is always chances that the lead time will increase. Similarly, the loss of sales, unnecessary adjusted capacity, because what we are doing, we are making the production on the basis of exaggerated demand. So what is happening at the manufacturing end? At one cycle, we have higher side of the production, while on the second cycle we will have the lower side of the manufacturing or the production line. So we are unnecessarily adjusting our manufacturing capability for the higher side, and it remains idle when we don't have any order in the other cycle. Now what are the factors which really contributes? There are so many factors which we will discuss in the next session. Because why I am discussing all these bullwhip effect, because they are the important part of the inventory management. Whenever we talk about the various techniques of the inventory management, we always depend that how much real data we are getting at each point in our supply chain. If all the players are getting the accurate or data or point of sale data from retailer, whether it is a retailer, distributor, manufacturer or supplier, definitely we can minimize the bullwhip effect. Even we can optimize the level of inventory at each part of our supply chain.